Today we are going to talk about pencil grip to achieve the best drawings. This is an important skill to master as a beginning artist. When drawing, there are two main ways of pencil grip. The first one is the tripod or writing grip, and this is achieved by holding the pencil between the thumb, index finger and middle finger. This is the most common method of drawing and it's used for outlines and writing. This is a really good method to use for drawing details and eyes. Now we come to the overhand grip, which is perfect for gestural drawings and tonal shading. This is achieved by holding the hand over the pencil. The hand should be relaxed with the finger and thumb holding the pencil. In order to use the tip of the pencil on a tabletop, you need to tip your wrist forward to achieve a thinner line. And then you move the tip backwards, flat onto the paper so that you can achieve tonal shading. If drawing on an easel or drawing board, you can flip your hand over like this and draw very easily with the overhand grip. Here are more examples of marks that you can make using the overhand grip. Here's one where you can transition between a thick mark and a thin mark to make it look like a blending or a calligraphy pen. Our brains have been trained to use the tripod grip or writing grip since reception, when we've been learnt how to write. So the wrist has built up all this muscle memory since reception to use the tripod grip. It's really useful for when we are drawing details. So when we are making small strokes, the tripod grip is the best grip to use because we're using details. However, when we want to make large strokes like the ones I'm making here, it doesn't work so well, and you're better off using the shoulder for larger gestural marks. So as I've just mentioned, when you want to make a large mark on the paper or a gestural drawing, you are better off drawing with your shoulder because that's where you will get a smoother mark on your paper. Here is an example of a sketch using gestural marks, mainly from the shoulder, some from the wrist, but the initial lines are from the shoulder. I'm mainly using the wrist for the details, but most of those large marks are from the shoulder because then you get a smoother line, and the details are using the wrist and using the tripod grip. When using the wrist to try and draw a long stroke, you may find that you are not able to draw that smooth line because When drawing with the wrist, you draw short strokes. So you end up with short lines that look like hairy lines. So if you want to get a truly smooth stroke, you need to draw from the shoulder, not from the wrist. The overhand grip is really useful for achieving a smooth shade. If you use the side of the pencil and glide it across the paper carefully, you'll find that you'll be able to get smooth shading, and you'll also be able to use graduated tone. With the overhand grip, if you hold your pencil perpendicular and straight onto the paper, you should be able to get a nice wide stroke. Then if you hold it with the tip, you get a thinner line. And then if you hold it, you can easily transition and get a nice wide line going into a thin, then into a thick, into a thin, into a thick, into a thin. Similar to if you had a calligraphy pen or a brush pen, you can use a similar technique, and this is very effective for certain styles of drawing, and many gesture drawings. It can create an interesting effect. Before you start drawing on a large scale, it's a really good idea to draw large shapes on a piece of paper. So one shape that's good to practice is ellipses, and then you can fill a large sheet up with lots of different shapes, large shapes, different shapes, lines, circular shapes, anything that you feel free to loosen up your shoulders. It's also a good exercise to draw lines, horizontal lines, vertical lines, especially if you find it difficult, and it's a good idea to do this exercise to get used to using your shoulders. Another exercise that is useful to practice is tonal shading. So draw yourself a box any size and then use the overhand grip to practice shading smooth tone. This is an exercise that it takes time to practice, but once you get the hang of it, it's fairly straightforward. You also need to make sure that you are paying attention to the pressure that you are applying to your hand. If you want even tone, you need to make sure that you are being very careful not to overlap your marks and to apply equal amount of pressure. Here is an example of a shaded square where there hasn't been equal tone applied and the strokes aren't neat. We have here a selection of charcoal pencils. These are fantastic for gestural drawings and tonal shading. They are sharpened by hand, and this will need to be done by an adult. Please see description below for stockists. We have here also some graphite pencils which are great for details. Again, see description below for details.